The Mamiya 7. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's Free Michael and we're back with another video. I hope you guys are all doing well in 2023. I certainly am, and really excited about putting out some more content for the YouTube channel this year. Hopefully you guys will stick around and check that out. Today we're going to be talking about something that I've actually had my eye on for the past, I would say, year or so. It's a camera that I couldn't wait to get my hands on, and fortunately I've had an opportunity to really test it out over the past few months, and that is the Mamiya 7. So quick disclaimer, this video is not going to be a deep breakdown of like the specs of the camera, but rather just sharing my experience with the camera as I've owned it for the past few months now. Quick story, back in August of 2022, I went on a hiking trip with my brother and a couple of friends. We traveled to North Manitou Island, which is in northern Michigan. It's about a 40-minute ferry ride from Leland, Michigan. So we hop on the ferry ride, we eventually get to North Manitou Island, and as soon as we get there, we put our packs on, our sunscreen on, and we race into the woods to find a campground. So as a Michigan native, I'm gonna tell you right now, Michigan is awesome, especially for hiking. I would say North Manitou Island is very beginner level hiking, very flat terrain, which is perfect for me being a beginner. So hiking and camping for me was much needed because 2022 was a very stressful year, and it was really great to just get out, enjoy nature, be around good people, and just enjoy good energy. So while I was getting my supplies together and planning for the trip, I thought, you know what, this would be a great opportunity to document the trip, right? Be a great opportunity to diversify the kind of videos I'm putting out on this channel, bring a medium format film camera for a few days, pop it on a tripod, and take photos of nature. But there was one huge problem. I did not want to bring this thing. I did put a whole video about the RB67 together a couple of videos ago. As I mentioned, this thing weighs about 6 pounds, and I just couldn't justify bringing this on the trip. And I'm glad I didn't, because I ended up, hiking for 3 days and 20 plus miles, and I know this would have been a real pain for me. That's how desperate I was to bringing a medium format film camera on the trip. So I said, you know what, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna go to the internet and see if I can find an alternative out there. All right, so I know the Mamiya 7 is hyped, right? I know people are, looking at the camera. It's highly sought after. It's held in high regard in the film photography community. But when I tell you I was shocked by the prices that I was seeing online, I could not justify paying the market rate for the Mamiya 7. And I was like, yeah, this is not happening. There's no way that I would pay that amount of money for this kind of a camera. And so as far as I was concerned, like, it's just not happening. Maybe I could find a point and shoot camera. I can't justify bringing my crazy 6-pound RB67. So I'll just bring my digital X100F, and that'll be that. Fast forward 1 month later, we're talking September of 2022. I hop on Craigslist and I type in Mamiya 7. I'm like, let's just see if there's one on the market. Let's see if anyone's interested in selling their Mamiya 7. And sure enough, I find an ad for a Mamiya 7 for $3,200. Everything in the description said that it was very clean. It had the 80mm lens with it. And I thought, you know what? Let me just throw an offer out there, right? Let me throw on, you know how it is with Craigslist. You throw an offer out there, you see what you get back. And honestly, if my offer was rejected, it's no hard feelings, but I figured I had to try. After about a week of negotiating, I sent an offer, and the person accepted the offer. So I agreed to pay $2,500 for the Mamiya 7, and that's still a lot of money, right? Like I've never paid $2,500 for a camera before, especially for a film camera. But again, it is something that I really wanted to get my hands on. And then I also know that this is well below what I paid. This is well below the market rate than what I paid. So if for any reason I wanted to get rid of it at a later time, I'm sure I could turn a profit on it if I really wanted to. So I've had an opportunity to put quite a few rolls of film through the Mamiya 7, most recently at the Lincoln Park Conservatory here in Chicago. If you hadn't been to the Lincoln Park Conservatory and are planning to visit Chicago in the near future, I highly recommend that you check it out. You could take maybe, a half day, just a couple hours really, and just, get a coffee, stroll around, enjoy the nature, and yeah, you're gonna absolutely love it. If you love plants like I do, obviously, yeah, I think you're gonna have a good time. So in no particular order, here's why I think the Mamiya 7 lives up to the hype. So although the body is predominantly plastic, it really does have a very solid grip. So this is something like, this is a medium format rangefinder camera, and I'm holding it with one hand like this, right? I haven't encountered too many rangefinder style medium format cameras. I'm sure there's a few out there, but typically when I think of medium format, I'm thinking of something like a Hasselblad or something bulky like the Mamiya RB series. Because there is no mirror, it's basically a lighter camera. So again, a lot of photographers would look at this as a travel friendly camera, and I would agree. Like, this is something that breaks down quite small. You can pack it in your luggage or pack it in your camera bag. Probably wouldn't recommend packing it in your luggage, honestly. But yeah, this is something I cannot wait to travel with. So I'm not going to pretend to know or even care about the specifications of the glass, but one thing I can say is the Mamiya glass is regarded as top quality, top of the market. Initially, when I purchased this camera, I wasn't too pressed on the lens that came with it. I was open to the 47 or the 80. Fortunately, this camera came with the 80mm, which I'm really excited about. The glass is extremely sharp. Every picture that I've nailed focus with this camera, I'm just thrilled with the results. And it's one of those things where you just have to see it for yourself to really believe it. The sharpness of the glass is absolutely amazing. So if you appreciate street photography like I do, you're definitely gonna love the quiet shutter in this camera. As I mentioned earlier, because it is a rangefinder style, there is no clunky mirror built into the body. So when you press the shutter button, it's like a click button that you'll hear. A click sound that you'll hear. And so what I like to do with this camera, because of the rangefinder style, is I like to get my frame in focus first, and then I just wait for the right subject to walk through the frame, and that's when I hit the shutter button. So again, pretty quiet shutter. I really enjoy it, especially for taking street photos. So the light meter in this camera is truly top notch. I've actually heard other reviews prior to purchasing the Mamiya 7 in which people who've owned the camera have really raved about the light meter. And after putting quite a few rolls of film through this camera, I can honestly say the light meter is absolutely amazing. There have been a couple of times where I've metered for highlights within my photo, and when I actually produce the negatives, I noticed a little bit of, I would say like saturated blacks in the photo. Nothing too crazy, but there have been a few times that I've noticed that. But because I use this as a hobby instead of like a professional, means to take photos, like I'm cool with that. If you are taking photos professionally with this camera, I would say there's a couple of ways around that. You can obviously buy a light meter to properly measure the light in your frame, or honestly just take an extra couple of minutes and maybe meter out the shadows in the photo, meter the highlights as well, and then just find the in-between on the dial above so that you can nail exposure. But like I said, it hasn't been a problem for me. I would say 9 out of 10, it's been very, very accurate. So a couple of downsides of the camera just from owning it for the past 4 months. And again, I'm really being nitpicky here. I think overall, I really do love this camera. But one thing that you do have to be aware of is the shutter button. It's very, very sensitive, so I would highly recommend that if you're not ready to take the photo, make sure you have the camera switched off. Once the camera is switched on, I can't tell you how many times my finger has accidentally slipped the shutter button, and it's a very, very light touch and this thing is going off. So that's one thing that is a little bit of a pain, but it's just something that you just learn to correct. Another thing too is that because it is a rangefinder style camera, when you're looking through the viewfinder, you have to remind yourself that you're not looking through the lens, which means there's a possibility that your lens cap will be on, but you won't be able to tell because you're looking through the viewfinder. As I mentioned before, there have been quite a few times where I take a photo and I later realize that my lens cap was on, or sometimes I'm not even sure if I had my lens cap on or off, so there's a little bit of anxiety there as you're waiting to develop your photos. And I would say out of every roll of 10 shots, there's at least one in which the lens cap is still on. So owning this camera for 4 months, I'm still learning. All right, that's gonna be the video for today, guys. I hope you like what you see. Feel free to hit that like button and subscribe on your way out. I appreciate you guys sticking with me thus far. It's going to be a great year as I plan on putting out a lot of content for 2023. So, I hope you guys ride along with me. I appreciate the support. Again, my name is Free Michael. Peace.